Looking out my kitchen window this morning, a warm cup of tea in my hand, which I had to rewarm twice because I'm just standing here looking. But I'm watching the birds and a soft, gentle breeze going through the leaves of the trees. And I'm thinking, and I had to laugh because I remember there was a time that my phone was on life support. Okay? And it was on life support because it was constantly ringing. Someone needing something, someone asking about something that was very important. Even people calling and venting about their life, sharing secrets, sharing heartache. But now, wow, it rings, but not like it used to. Things have changed. I was almost an emergency contact all the time. And some of you know what that is. You know how it felt, and you know how it feels to be constantly being pulled in different directions, giving advice, comforting. But now, seasons have changed. Relationships have changed. Career may have changed. The house sounds different. And you sound different. And it's not that people don't care. Because if you're not careful, you begin to think that. And you can misinterpret the season in your life. And you can start thinking, oh, I've been forgotten. I'm stuck. My life has no meaning because nobody needs me. Okay? Wow. But as I'm looking out the window today, I have a completely different thought. It's not that I've been forgotten, but it's a strategy. And it's a God strategy. Not punishment, not abandonment. And I'm not left behind. And you're not either. But intentional attention and care from the greatest strategist that your life has ever known. You see, God knows something we ignore. You cannot constantly pour from an empty soul. And at some point, you have to sit down. Wow. Okay. And some of us, we did not sit down willingly. We came kicking and screaming because of fear, because we was afraid that we have been forgotten. We're afraid that we no longer matter. You know, scientists even have a term, and it's called chronic stress. And it can change your brain and your body over time because your body is constantly pouring hormones into your nervous system. And it keeps it activated and elevated. And that means that you're living a life and you're walking around mentally, emotionally, and physically overstimulated. And you know, after doing that so long, you can't help but be exhausted because you've been busy And busy has become your identity. You have pushed through so much. But do you know that some of us didn't even know, or still don't know our identity because it's locked into busyness? Mm. And maybe this quieter season feels uncomfortable because for the first time, you finally get to hear yourself and finally get to get quiet. Not the role that you play, not the responsibilities that you handle, not the titles, just you. And honestly, it can feel strange. After decades of caretaking, producing, and pushing through, this season is called recovery. And I read somewhere recently that as we age, that you naturally become reflective and emotionally aware and spiritually grounded. Your brain begins valuing meaningful relationships over performance. In other words, your soul starts craving depth instead of noise and stimulation. And that can explain why some of us no longer tolerate confusion and drama, fake relationships, and unnecessary stress. Baby, your nervous system is saying, we are not doing that anymore. Okay? And instead of grieving the season, what if we honored it? What if this is intentional and it's time to give intentional care to ourselves? What if God allows certain things to slow down so you can finally notice your health, your emotions, your dreams, creativity, your joy? Because some of us have been functioning for years, but we have not been present to ourselves. You know what? There's a difference between lonely and finally having space. Wow. You're not lost. You're simply no longer distracted. That's a difference. I remember writing a post years ago, years before I entered into the season, and it showed a lake and a chair, one chair, and a table. And under the caption, I put, there's going to come a season when you're going to have you all to yourself. And what are you going to do with her? Okay? What? Is you going to say, I don't have time? That I don't deserve it? That I'm not just that important to give myself intentional attention and care? What are you going to do with her? Not what somebody else needs. What do you need in this season? Sometimes you can be so focused externally on everyone else's needs that you do not even recognize that you have your own need. I want to share a personal moment in my life. It was right when the kids were leaving home, and I believe my marriage of over 40 years was deteriorating. And I can hear in my spirit the voice of God ask me, what do you want? And let me be honest with you. When I heard it, I was shook. I did not know how to answer it. So I avoided it because I didn't know what I wanted, because I didn't know what I needed. I've been given so much of myself away and outpouring. You know how we do. The family needs us, so we show up. The community needs us, so we show up. Our church needs us, so we show up. So when I was challenged and given the question, what do you want? I did not know how to answer it. And I hid from it for not just days, years. I didn't know how to answer what did I need. But God, the greatest strategist, who knows the beginning to the end of our life and in between, continue to allow my mind to gravitate towards that question. And eventually, just like I'm telling you now, as things became quieter, I had to begin to answer the question, what do I want and what do I need? Without rushing it, I had to answer. And slowly but surely, using things like resting, not being busy just to be busy, choosing who I would spend my time and my energy with, and looking at my identity, not the identity that the world said, but my identity of who I was and who I wanted to be. And I began to realize that I had the power and the courage to make a decision without feeling guilty and without wondering what other people thought. And do you know, as I look and reflect now, I feel good. I feel courageous. I feel brave. I feel strengthened because I took the time. Life is still happening, and it is, just like you. Life is going to be happening, even while you are given these life-changing prompts in life. But you are on a journey, and it's yours. And yes, it will stretch you. Yes, it will heal you. Yes, it is amazing, and it is beautiful. But it's your journey. And you choose to decide in this season, are you willing to give yourself intentional attention and care and watch what happens? Okay? Just me and you looking out the kitchen window. I'll see you next time.